right, so this section is about coloring skin and skin tones. And in all honesty, I don't do a lot of coloring facial images. I tend to stick to nature. I tend to stick to like flowers and butterflies and that sort of thing. But this is where a sample book comes in handy. What I have done is I have explored and seen different skin tone colors that I've liked. I've created samples and then written down what colors were used, so that if by chance I'm making a card or a project where I do want to have a skin tone in there, I can add that to, I can just check my sample book for a reference and go from there. So I'm gonna do this one here. This again is another JPEG that I have downloaded. I will put the site on there, and from that site I just looked up faces, and I downloaded the JPEG, and when I printed it, I made it print so that I would have 9 on a sheet of paper. You can change that to whatever size your sample book is. You could even keep it as an 8.5 by 11 like this, and then have your sample book as an 8.5 by 11 binder that you just have sheets that you fill in your bits and pieces. So once again, I am being very, very quick on the first layer. I'm only adding just a touch of the color. Now I'm going to go in with my next color. I'm going to put some by the hairline, some by the outside of the face. Basically all around, a little bit on the side of the face by the ears, and then below the chin there. A little bit by the nose. Again, I don't do faces very often, so there'd be a little bit of a shadow below the lips. Now for this one, I'm just going to go in with the darker color right along the hairline. Basically, I'm doing it at the same spots that I put that medium color. I'm just putting less of it than I put of the medium color. And yeah, I'm aware it looks kind of odd right now, but it will look a little bit better in a bit. I'm just gonna dot some of the pink for the cheeks. When I go in with my lightest color, I will blend that out a little bit. And then there is a purple tone that I'm just gonna add there. This color combination, I got it from a tutorial at some point. Again, because I don't do a lot of faces, I just trusted that they knew what they were talking about. Now I'm going to go over with my lightest color, and I'm going to blend them all in. So I'm going to blend that cheek tone in. Never looks pretty while you're doing it. Bit in the ear. That very first color that you put down will be a lot lighter than what it ends up being as you add extra layers of ink. So if you put that first layer down and you're like, oh, that's really, really far too pale, don't worry about it. It'll be a little bit darker. But even at that, as you keep adding some layers to it, you'll find that they blend together. And it will even all the skin tone out. So I did find a nice blog post about skin tones, and for beginners, it's just, it has a light and a medium and a dark color palette. I will put a link on the supply sheet to that blog post because it's a good one to reference as a beginner. And once again, as you come across different people's projects and see skin tones that you love, go and copy what the skin tone, or write down what the skin colors that they used. Often people will share that. And then from there, create a sample for yourself and see if you like it. It's a good way to practice. It's also a good way to have a reference to what different skin tones look together, what the different color combinations look together. There we go. So what I typically do, as you saw in my book there, is I'll put just a little swipe of each color and I will write down what those colors are so that I don't have to remember that. I have a reference and I know exactly what those color combinations are. And it's one of those things, as you keep doing it, you'll get better and better. Because I don't tend to do a lot of skin tones, I could sit here playing for a while correcting things, but I'm going to leave it as it is because it's just intended to be a sample. And when you look for an image, you want to find an image that has a lot of open space that you can do some practicing in. You don't want to have one that's pre-shaded or anything, because otherwise you're not going to be able to practice and get better at doing your shading. And by doing these practices, that's how you decide, or how you figure out what you like to use your markers for, whether you like to use them more for nature things, whether you like to use them for scenery, whether you know, whatnot. So I'm going to leave that at that. There's one color combination. I will put in the supply list some of the other color combinations I've come across so that you can try them. A good way, again, to figure out what it is that you like to use. I'll see you in the next video where we're going to talk about hair.